This new update has been both a good one and a bad one. I'm not sure how I really feel about it. On one hand, I'm glad the movement has been added back to the game. It's been a while, and I am finding it a bit frustrating having only Fizz to rotate in my matches. On the other hand, I don't know how I feel about the movement they have added, and the fact it's only here for a short amount of time is also playing on my mind. That being said, it has been a big change to the meta, so if you want to get ahead of the meta and learn everything from the best coaches in the world, then make sure you go check out the link in the description to Solo Superstars. It's the best possible way to improve, and I'm on it and I've improved a lot recently. What I want to talk about today is whether Fortnite will ever be actually competitive. And I know it is competitive at a surface level, but recently things have just been taking a little bit of a turn for the worse. I'm not going to be talking about it today, but outside the update we've had a lot of problems with cheaters. And that is a big issue because they're queuing into every tournament, ruining everyone's games. If you have played at least a couple tournaments this season and have not seen a cheater, you are extremely lucky. But this is besides the point of the cheaters. I want to talk about Epic and how they make changes to their game. And the first thing I want to talk about is the suitability of the items. Now, Epic added the chainsaw and also the witch's broom into competitive as part of the Fortnite Mez update. I'm not sure they normally add the Fortnite Mez stuff into competitive, but this year seems to be different for some reason, and that is an inconsistency that I don't really like with Epic. But first, let's talk about the suitability. They're moving into trios next season. Trios is a game mode where the movement has to be pretty rigid and has to be a certain way. What the chainsaw and the witch's broom are solo movement items, which means that they only apply to one player's loadout, and that means they only move the one player. Fizz would be a universal loadout. Launchpad would be a universal movement item, and so would bounce pads. Stuff like that are things that everyone can use in a trio, but chainsaws, not so much. Witches' brooms, definitely not. And this means that we're creating a meta in the trios game mode where we're having solo movement in trios and duos. Solos is only one tournament of the week, and all the rest of the tournaments are all duos and trios and squads in some cases, but obviously there's no witches' brooms and chainsaws and squads because it's reload. But you catch my drift. Every other tournament in a week is duos and trios. So them adding solo movement items to the meta is not competitive in the slightest. It means that if a team is able to find 3 witches' brooms, if they're able to find 3 witches' brooms and 2 witches' brooms and a chainsaw, if a duo is able to find 2 chainsaws and another one is not, they are just a massive advantage. It's pure RNG based, and the other team are just going to have to go with Fizz, which obviously does work, but during those long zones, especially before endgame, let's say you don't pull a 7th zone, that can be a really hard one to rotate, but with a witch's broom, with a chainsaw, super easy. And that's what I'm talking about. The type of RNG, it's like when they added the jetpacks at the start of the season. They are such a good solo movement item, and when you get them in solos, they are brokenly good, right? They're so good for movement. In terms of duos though, finding 2 of them for a team, if you have one of them, it's just awkward, the other player's just flying ahead. But one of them is great for solos. This is what I mean. If they had more solo tournaments and they were doing solos next season, maybe solo movement items would be a great decision. Keep the Fortnite Mez stuff in Fortnite Mez and give us a group movement item for trios or duos. I don't have anything against the movement items themselves particularly, but it's just the fact they're all implemented always into the wrong meta. You will never have a time where the right movement item is implemented. The last time I can remember was chapter 2, where they had the launch pads in trios. This was super good because it's an item all a team can use and it's implemented into the meta well. They need to start doing that more often, and then Fortnite will start to be seen as a lot more of a competitive game again. Another thing that's kind of crazy and makes you wonder if Fortnite will ever be seen as truly competitive is the amount of times they just add stuff last minute. Now, we were going into a complete day of tournaments yesterday. Like, we had the Trio Cash Cup on the EU from 12 till 3. We then had the Duo Reload Cup on the EU from 4 till 6. We then had the Squads Reload Cup from 7 till 9. That was 8 hours of tournaments, an entire day. And you know what they did literally the same day? They added chainsaws and brooms into competitive. Now, I know there's got to be some kind of tournament first after these updates, but on the same day, before we even have a chance to try the items, a money-based cup is not competitive at all. I'm not saying Trio should be like FNCS and we should have a big build-up, but even FNCS doesn't get that. We've had whole POIs moved before FNCS, we've had whole updates, whole POIs added before FNCS, we've had whole teams drop slots just getting yoinked off the map before FNCS. It has been crazy in previous seasons. And although this one is just before a Trio Cash Cup, it really does show you how much they don't care about competitive. They will literally update their game whenever and remove stuff, remove the best team's drop spot, buff stuff, nerf stuff right before tournaments, giving players no chance to experience it and really figure out what's happening. Going into FNCS can literally be like an RNG battle at this point. Cooper and Mira had their entire ship removed in semi-finals, I believe, at one time. It is not the play from Epic Games, and it really does look bad when all the other esports are looking on Twitter and seeing all these pros drop slots just getting removed and stuff like that. It just makes Fortnite seem like a non-competitive esport, and we all know that Fortnite can be a super competitive game, so it's super sad having this kind of reputation of an esport that makes every event just a Mickey Mouse tournament. The other main thing they need to fix is tournaments breaking. We've had point bugs in the game for far too long, and it is not a good look on us as an esport. We have the point bug where the points don't show. We have the point bugs where the points count up to a certain point but don't count any further than that. We have the point bug where only eliminations count, and then when you go back into the lobby it's all normal. We have the point bug where you can't go on leaderboards and see anything. We have the point bug where you go on the leaderboards and then it kicks you out the leaderboards and you keep having to go back into the leaderboards to see the points. We have the point bug that's not really a point bug, but it kind of takes one of your games when you're in the lobby, but when you go on the tournament you've still got it, so it kind of looks like you have less games than you do, which is not a massive bug, but it's still annoying. And we also have the point bug where your points just don't count at all. You go into a game, you play the game, and your points just don't count, which is perfectly competitive. I'm in a particularly bad mood about tournaments breaking as of yesterday, because as I said, there was 8 hours of tournaments. I played 6 hours of tournaments, and I was about to play the other 2, but then they cancelled every single one of them, including the ones that had already been and passed. So the trios was cancelled after me finishing in top 2.5k, which I would have got some PR for, which I was obviously not the happiest with. It's not a great placement, but we clutched a 20 bomb at the end, and I think we deserve that PR. And then the Duo Reload Cup as well, we played a good hour of that and a half. And to have it all cancelled, it's just a little bit of a pain, because we've all invested time into those cups, and cancelling them after, even when we had no issues in the Trios Cup, I don't believe there was a single matchmaking issue in the Trio Cup. They decided to cancel everything that day and reschedule it. And in answer to the question, can Fortnite ever be competitive, I'm going to say yes, even though I've just complained for a good, I don't know how long it's been, but I've just complained. Fortnite can be competitive, they just need to lock in on their competitive mode. It sometimes feels like their updates aren't even kind of thought about in competitive terms. They just think about it in pubs and then go, well, this item thing competitive, let's just go with a yes until proven wrong. That includes chainsaws, that includes witches brooms. There's no consideration to how the meta is at the moment, what game modes we've got going on. It's just throw it all in and see what sticks. Props on them to removing the jetpacks from the duo game mode. That was good this season. But then we have the chainsaws and the witches brooms, which obviously aren't here for a massive amount of time, but it really just show how much they don't really care about the state of competitive. They'll just add any old thing in, and the fists last season did show that, I will admit. The only reason they were taken out of competitive was because of a bug. YouTube likes it when you watch more than one video on my channel, so make sure you click these 2 videos on the screen right now, one of them, and just give it a watch. Trust me, you're gonna love it. Make sure you go JKC and check out the Eat Solo Superstars link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a beautiful day.